Let me. Hopefully, I can stream it. If not, there you go.
Oh, I will click into that now.
But for anyone that doesn't know what happens when I play this game, I have a rule of thumb that I will let you guys come up with names for it. Obviously within TOS for the monsters that we did. And then we'll pick a poll. So far we have Pint Size, Angel Bailo, KFC, and then Joe.
Joe Mama.
I think Mana came up with that name. Which shouldn't surprise anyone, let's be honest here. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been wanting to play it more. It's just very hard to like want to play it because like it's very much. I don't know how to describe it other than I like games where I can just like it's more story and less action, and this game is very action based
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. But I do love the monsters design.
So that monster is causing trouble at the Darge Rock Bath.
Bacon. Bacon on top.
Bacon.
On top bacon.
Let's get down to business.
Dinner.
Mm-hmm. I might have Domino's tonight. It depends. I really
Hell yeah.
like I don't like a lot of like I call like Domino's and that stuff like fast food pizza. It kind of is.
What?
What?
Oh, I just got paid.
Oh? So okay. Simi.
I need to know who did the deposit. Okay, yes. I just got paid.
Hell yeah.
I am
Simi.
now $430 richer.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I call Domino's fast food pizza.
It kind of is.
Yeah, it is. Because like to me, any pizza that you can kind of just like, you know, go up to an order either on a website or anything. But if it's fast and it doesn't take a certain amount of time, it is fast food.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm saying this as someone who is Italian and knows how to make pizza. Headbutt. Oh, tin sip.
It's kicking your ass.
Death by footsies. Don't clip that, anyone.
Death by footsies.
How dare. I lost one heart, but that's fine.
I love you.
I love you too.
Sorry for how excited I got when I got my paycheck.
You're fine. I'm kind of focused on this, so it's your turn to keep Zach entertained.
Don't ask that of me. I'm about to buy something for my phone. I'm kind of distracted right now myself.
Fail. 1 HP! Oh no.
1 HP in a
I'm a
motherfucking dream.
dream! How much health do you have, Mavadaho? Oh, wait. Okay, the game is being heard. Okay, I just want to double check. Hell yeah, we got it. Oh, nope.
Hell yeah.
Still fighting. But they're almost down. 100. God damn. How much health of this? You know what? Ain't about it. Come on in. There we go. Now we did it. I'm bringing home the bacon. It's very fresh.
Alright, now as far as my roommates get to know, I got $400 from paycheck. And
Oh, yeah.
somebody bought me something off the road.
Mm-hmm.
As far as they know, in reality, I spent $30.
Mm-hmm.
Feline, Frostfang will keep worrying if you don't get.
It's just. Why are you going so far just to help me?
We just were dead people, Mavadaho.
You're a fellow rider, ain't ya? Shake a paw. Time's a wasting.
Like, I will say, as much as I don't like really action games, what is my... That's because, like, you know, action games can be kind of overwhelming for me from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably, like, a good beginner fighting game. Mainly because it is technically kind of like turn-based, but you still do fight.
Yeah.
Shy now. We'll give you some privacy. Have a nice long soak and rest your tired body, okay?
I'm not worried about that. It's just. Thank you.
Huh?
It's nothing, okay?
Tsundere.
Bye.
Those bats look
Tsundere.
Someone said like I am like a tsundere sometimes, and like how?
such a worry wart.
Are you?
That's not it.
Someone said I am. Like a few like this is like a while back.
Huh? Who could it be? We'd better check this out, buddy. You know, make sure.
I don't see it. Yeah. Oh, the monster. Is,
I mean, you
yeah.
do deny being adorable.
But that's not really a tsundere. That's a swama.
Yeah. That's all I can figure, though.
Mm-hmm. what are those little bear fiends? I don't care about the muscle men. What are those little adorable bear fiends? Oh no, it's a cat. So adorable. You are the hunter who got rid of the monsters, right? You're not a hunter, you're a rider? What is it in the world is a rider? Never heard of them. Well, we're all the same, really. Come on, the water is lovely. What's that? Oh, okay. I know what I'm saying. No, I'm so sad. How embarrassing. Wait, let me talk to you then. Well done, Tay. Oh, you. Head into the winters. Oh, fire task. Okay, so use TFC. Okay. You know, I think no, I had TFC before. Never mind. I was about to say I don't think I had them before, but no, I have. Slay. Ah. I didn't mean to accept it. God damn it.
Well, you're doing the quest now.
Well, it's more like a quest I can do as I play, which is a good thing. Because, you know, in some games, you have to, like, do the quest before you can actually play the story.
Mm-hmm.
Say, Avinia, that cave where we found you was the Wintertide Tunnel, right? Did you maybe get attacked by a Kezu?
Yes, that's what happened. I remember now.
You feeling better after your bath?
Uh-huh. Getting to soak a while in the warm water was it cleared my head. Now I remember I ran into a Kezu inside the tunnel. During the battle, I got hit by an electrical attack.
You know what this makes me want? I want all of my Tale, because in my Tale to lore, well, more the Paradise lore, there is like 4 hot springs waterfalls. Well, 3.
Ooh.
They are all guarded by they are all connected because it is kind of built in with the cave system.
Mm-hmm.
So like each like kind of like the front side is like the safest waterfall, like hot spring, because the dragon dog that is protecting it is kind of like your dog, but a very sweet one.
He's this wee little guard dog.
Yes,
Gargoyle.
if I were to put like types of dogs as the types of like protectors, more or less, dragon dogs are dogs, basically. The youngest they are, the sweetest they are, the oldest they are, they will not be afraid to send you back to your own realm. Because if you get knocked out, quote unquote, you'll be sent back to your own realm.
Oh, damn. So they will fuck you up and get you out of the
Well,
paradise.
any dog can really mess you up.
Yeah, but these ones will straight up eject you.
Well, they're like, I wouldn't say the tallest, because the tallest besides Marshmallow, because Marshmallow is still a baby. And right now in like his normal form, he's like a pud size, so like less than like, how tall is a pud? Like a foot?
Let me Google that.
But he is still a baby, and they grow every other year. And he's 6 years old, technically.
They're about a foot.
Yeah, so he's like about a foot tall, and he's still a baby, technically. He won't reach full adulthood until like past 20 years old. And they will grow every other year. So he'll be a tall, but when he's in his Dalian form, he's about like 10 feet tall.
Damn.
And
Big
that
boy.
size roll too, but times 2 every other year.
Big boy.
Yes, but the Dalians, they take like the 4 element stones. They are about like 7 feet tall when they're full adults. And
Yeah, damn.
And the dragon those are about 5 feet tall when they're on all 4s.
They're big.
Mhm.
Very big.
Well, and they got horns that are basically the whole size of their bodies.
Damn.
They have wings, but it's more like decoration, if that makes sense. They can't really use them. They can't fly.
Makes sense.
Khezu are tough customers, huh?
They can more like float with their wings, but they can't fly.
Should we bring a fire element monster then? Or one that's resistant to cold? I can't think of any monsters that fit the bill.
Let's head back to the cabins for now. I'm gonna freeze up.
But yeah, no, the one dragon though that will mess you up more or less is the one that is behind the mountain. But that is more so, that water for a hot spring is more reserved for like the older adults. But that one is only one really with healing properties.
I love you.
I love you more. Look, the plushie!
It's a plushie.
I want one.
Why are you going to Gildegaren anyway?
We just want to see more of the world and meet more people.
In other words, you're going to the Hunter Town to broaden your horizons?
Yeah, that's the plan. Exploration. That's pretty much the whole reason we left our home village.
Oh, I forgot to set my timeless. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Let me go do that real quick. Me. I kind of like doing all these streams like this. It's when I'm most awake. Well, somewhat most awake.
I wish I was more awake.
I feel so
And
bad when
you.
you come here. You're going to see me awake at like 5 a.m. and you're not going to be used to it.
Honey, I wake up at 5 a.m. on the days that I work.
No, I mean every day. So like, you won't be used to it because one, the time change. Yes, you are 2 hours ahead of me, but still.
Back in my village, we were told that riders should never venture. People in towns are suspicious of us riders. They sometimes even attack us. We can befriend monsters easy enough, but other humans.
I feel told out, but replace the monster with animals. I feel told out. But then I have befriended a wild squirrel once. I didn't touch it, but it did survive with me when I was little.
I
And
feel like I'm gonna sleep, but I can't sleep.
I'm sorry, my love.
I gotta stay awake because I have work in a couple hours.
Even Dames tell you.
Pretty
Still,
stupid.
sus you. Sus. I remember when I went to Florida during my birthday week. I was watching a streamer's a streamer friend, and I said, "Oh yeah, I kind of befriended wild dolphins and a alligator," and they literally said, "You are just Snow White. You're pale as Snow White, and you befriend with the animals like Snow White." And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I can see it.
And then one of my friends inside said, "See, it's sort like one too."
Short like her too, yeah.
I hate it. I'm not sort.
You're wrong. I'm sure everyone will be a little surprised, but there'll be people who will see we're not a bad bunch. And we'll prove it. We're gonna charm the pants off those folk and make a bunch of new friends.
I'm not sort.
I really am so optimistic.
I'm optimistic because of trauma.
Because of trauma.
Am I wrong?
No. No, I can't say you are.
They're neutral.
Anyway,
That's how I do my throat to man, by the way, my love.
I shall try to remember that.
And if you just want to see a throat, I said it does this.
Yeah, you've got a point there. Fire monsters are resistant to cold, huh?
we'll need to use the rite of channeling.
Of course, the rite of channeling.
We have a fire. Well, kind of fire, I think.
Let me spin you young folks a riddle.
No, they do, Sweat Cousin from New York. Go away.
And hairballs. Not this again. We don't have time for it. We're trying to find someone who can tell us about channeling.
He looks so disappointed.
Yeah, I guess we've got no choice.
Now, riddle me this. Now, my fur is white like snow, my ears long like icicles. I glide across ice. What am I? Now, bring me a monster that fits that description, will you?
Okay, buddy. Let's find this monster and get back to searching for our Wyverian.
I have a feeling the answer is going to be right under our noses again. Probably something simple, you know? Don't think about it too hard.
Huh? Huh? See, it's making my brain confused.
So Steel is saying he wants to be put on a leash and led to Shrek's cousin.
You are so lucky.
Fuck no.
You are so lucky he can't see this VC. You know what will happen.
Right. He would join just to yell at me.
I kind of want to join the VC so he can.
Do you want to move to one he can see?
Yeah. Let's do the
Which VC?
Toad Soul Lab.
All right, I'll meet you there.
Okay, Seal, you can join to yell at him.
Now he can come yell at me. Also, you have to restart
did.
streaming. It's the VC.
I mean, I did the
Uh-oh,
thing.
he's here.
Hello.
There you go.
Scatter.
That sack of piece of shit. I could say worse, but
So, since Lee and I think you still have played this game or something like this game,
mm-hmm.
would you agree with me that this is like the game for people who have never played like a fighting game folded it into?
If you're talking like more of the turn-based,
Yeah.
or yeah,
Because I feel like for people who never play fighting games, should play a turn-based game first.
but then again, if that's the case, to go with Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
My personal opinion, because I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan.
Final Fantasy wasn't very final.
You can bomb him, Seal. You can.
No.
No, I just punch him in the throat for that one.
No.
Okay, not. Oh, big fluffy baby.
Look,
Isn't-
it'd be equivalent to a love tap, just on
No,
the
love
throat.
tap. A
God
love tap
damn
on-
it.
A love tap to the throat.
So with Pokemon, I would say that is definitely something that you rather. I feel like it's because Pokemon is all about like learning the types. That's not very beginner friendly. Because you kind of have to pay attention a lot more. At least in my opinion.
Wait for what?
Pokemon. Saying like that's not that technically is turn based too.
This Lagondia
Yeah.
is just screaming at you.
I know, I was twisting a CSPNG.
Excuse me.
It's just screaming. It's like rah.
Here, let me do
See, it's ripping Z a new one
It's ripping me a new one. Why? What did I do? I'm
because
innocent.
I didn't do a good job at it.
I'm innocent. I did nothing wrong.
I'm trying to
I
fist
believe you.
PNGs. And then let me make me
Just put me above Z so it's like I'm shitting on his head.
there.
But yeah, so
You're on a hay bale.
I went to work yesterday and
Mhm.
they did a revote.
Oh,
And I didn't
for
vote I didn't vote the last time. This time, like if you're thinking logically,
Mhm.
it would make more sense to come in Friday, so I have 3 days off instead of having today off. Come in
Mhm.
Saturday and then the 2 days off. So I went and voted. It's like all right, so I'll be going in at my normal time then. So this whole day, and I think starting however long it takes us to get done, so whatever we get for next morning will be
See.
more money.
Hello, Nail.
Oh hi,
Daryl.
Daryl. Or will never be new.
You all ain't new.
He's definitely a racing.
Huh?
He's old.
Oh.
I was about to say, are you trying to say he's old?
Health set, both of you.
Yes. People.
All right, I'll straighten up.
I don't. You know what? I don't fucking know where I'm going with that one.
I got something that's wrinkly.
Huh?
Daryl, where the fuck's my food at?
It's called my balls.
Oh, cut those off. Fry 'em
No.
and feed them to the fish.
No. No removing the raccoon's testicles.
I fucking wish I could. I do have both
No.
mirrors now on my car, so you know I can actually fucking travel now without being pulled over. Just fuck me if I get a ticket trying to go somewhere. my plates are good for 2 years. So see, to find people, it's not that hard. It got very fucking
Oh.
quiet.
This is my
Sorry,
favorite
I'm
thing.
zoning the fuck out. I'm tired.
The Ubu face.
No, I feel. For some reason, I feel like you were wanting me to rant more.
You talk as much as you want.
And I say silence because I have the stream muted, so literally it's just me talking. There's no sound. There's nothing.
Well,
I'm just listening to the sounds of Lavender's game.
Yeah. I am screen sharing that. Mix it up? No.
Mix it up, yes.
No.
You know, Nero. If I get the collar, I have to take a picture.
I don't
What
want
do
to
you-
go to work today.
What do you mean? People only want you to.
Yeah, I know people are against me. It's why I have to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Steel, the reason why I'm so quiet is the only thought that's going through my head right now is I don't want to work today.
You're gonna work and you're gonna fucking love it.
I
You're gonna
have
lick the floor.
to. I will not lick the floor.
You'll lick the floor
No.
that gives you money.
No. They do not pay me enough to lick the floors.
They technically pay me enough to lick the floors, but I sure as hell won't do that. Give me 30 to 35 and then I'll fucking do it. I will never complain again. Excuse me, Jesus.
Give me 30 to 35 an hour. I'll fucking suck a dick.
This is gonna be a wonderful video for YouTube.
Oh god, I'm sorry.
I'm not sorry. I'm a
forgot
fuck
it
you,
was-
YouTube.
I forgot it was gonna be a YouTube video.
I mean, no one really watches the VODs unless it's Pokemon, so you're fine.
Now I kind of feel bad, not gonna lie.
I feel that now.
Look, Daryl, if I could, I would hire you to do nothing and pay you. I'll give you like $1,000 each week. How about that? If I could.
Can you give me $1,000 each week? Shit.
I meant to say every 2 weeks, not each week, but
I just got paid for the first time and I got $400 at this new job.
how much they fucking tax you?
I think like 11%. I only make 12 an hour.
I made less. I made. Yeah, I made less than you and still made that in like 2 weeks.
I don't get a lot of hours.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right. I forgot the last conversation we had with how much they scheduled you.
Yeah.
It's still bullshit.
First they give me 12-hour shifts and then they schedule me 17 hours in a week.
Well, look, I'm older than you, so I feel insulted. I'm also have a shit body.
Same.
Same.
And for some odd reason, there's always blood in my nose.
That's not good.
I don't know anything about it. I don't know. I just know there is all the fucking time. So, you know, maybe I'm eternally bleeding, maybe I'm not. I don't fucking know.
Celeste is just going to yell at you.
Yeah, I know. She's here. That's why I'm doing this.
Damn! You know, I lost this.
I got a yell kink. I'm
What?
completely joking about that.
What? You got a what?
None of your goddamn business. I didn't say shit.
I heard that.
Nani?
If you want to know, you should have just clipped it.
It's too
I
late
mean,
now.
I'm an asshole, but I'm not that much of an asshole.
Oh, I am. I can go back into the bit.
I heard you.
Ah. Also, the question is which game is Celeste talking about in Discord?
Huh?
I just watched somebody turn their boobs into a purse.
I don't know who it was for, but it says I totally finished chapter 1 of your game. I don't know if you're referring to me or anyone else. I'm assuming me.
Okay,
If
let's
that's the
see
case,
the
I don't know
aid
what
we
game.
got. We got an aid. Oh, we got bacon. Alright, Sat. You can come up with the name.
By the way, Neryl, if I was to go up there, what would
I'm gonna put
happen
my
is
name suggestion in chat.
I would
Yeah.
go to Ohio and have nowhere to have no clue where the fuck to go. That's really what would happen.
I think there is a territory limit.
Character? Character of what?
Territory limit for the monster beater. Any name in Sat.
15.
Yeah, 15. So I think that passes it.
Penis.
Yeah, it fits, I think.
Okay. So I want at least 2 more other names so that since everyone.
Good night, Lee.
Good night,
Sleep
Lee.
well, Lee.
Sleep well.
He's doing whatever the hell he wants to do right now. I just realized I should have taped the dancing dog.
Huh?
I get a family's dog, Lucy. I
Mm.
give her a treat, and she like kind of dances around it.
Aww.
I gave her a donut.
No, don't give dogs donuts.
It's a sweet.
Doggy donut.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a doggy donut.
He
Okay,
said
never
he
mind.
gave her a sweet.
They also have doggy Reese's cups.
They do?
Yeah.
Come on, Sat. Give me 2 more name ideas.
What, mine wasn't good enough for you?
Well, you're gonna type in Sat. And it has to be TOS, motherfucker.
We'll see. Look, the past few days I haven't been accepted for TOS. I've been saying whatever the hell comes to my mind.
True.
The fuck's in my pocket? Oh, I found key. I did just do my keys somewhere.
So I told M's community about how work is gonna make me smoke if I want breaks.
Mm-hmm.
People have responded.
Or have.
The responses now.
Yeah, the one person says, do it! There always is. And then they're usually the ones you listen to.
I read them. I'm still waiting. I just want to wait 1 more minute for name suggestions. Burnt ends. Okay, that's
Name it Chonkla. I don't know how to spell that. So.
hold on.
I mean, I'm very quiet.
Huh?
He's not quiet. I also have Discord on OBS kind of lower just because it was peaking yesterday.
Excuse me. I ain't loud enough for you. I don't know what is.
Yeah, I also don't want it
I'm
too
also not
loud.
completely awake.
Yeah,
My
It-
voice is deeper than normal.
I don't want to waste
Quiet.
it, so you either have to turn up the volume or something because I'm not gonna waste it. Because this
Or
is
I have to start yelling, but I'm not gonna do that.
yeah no
Please
Hit
don't
it.
start yelling.
because it does test the yellow sometimes, and that's the most I will do. But Seal is also a very quiet person when he first wakes up.
Yeah, usually because there's still people here.
Hmm
Burnt ends. Burnt ends. That's a funny name.
There's a joke somewhere in that. I just can't think of one.
I'll burn yo ends. Got him.
I mean, there's double
Alright,
penetration.
I'm going to what?
Hey yo. Hey yo. Hey yo.
That's what I was thinking of.
Oh.
Alright, I might do one of your suggestions, Celeste. This one. I might do burnt ends. And I'm going to do there you go, and the poll will last for a minute. Sorry, now y'all vote.
Chanclas.
I think you would put it. But I'm still voting for it anyway.
I'm a selfish prick, so I'm voting for mine.
Big threats.
I'm voting for
We
my
know.
own. Damn. Damn, I almost didn't catch that one.
Mhm.
I gotta see how well you're paying attention. It's all a test. And you failed.
So far, it's a tie. Oh, no longer a tie. Songla is winning
Eat shit, bitch.
by 2. Remember, you like can put points into it. Oh, Songla wins.
Fuck. I tried to tie him at the last second, but somebody else knew what I was doing. I guess his new name is Chunklas.
Well, Songla, I just didn't mean to put the S.
Dude, we're gonna have many more Chonklas. Yeah. I had coffee. It's gone now.
Same.
So I should be waking up to then. Because I can already feel myself getting louder.
That's what she said.
Use a paintball to
That's how you
increase.
know she's enjoying it.
Huh?
Exactly.
I had it back in my head. I was like, should I say this? Should I not? I don't know.
Now you right, you right, you right. So right, bestie, so right.
I feel tired out by the way this monster walks. Or once.
What the fuck you talking about? That's what I look like. I look like a fucking Oompa Loompa when I fucking run. I just called myself short. Fuck.
Do. I've got another puzzle for you.
Swear, I'm taller than the goat.
What the, I'm not
She's a
short.
she is a mini goat, so.
It is by like 2 inches. Or taller.
Yeah, Z is taller than you if I remember right.
No, we're like the same.
He.
Yeah, we're like the same height.
Oh.
I'm 5'9".
I'm
think we're the same
5'5".
height, at least.
Then you're an inch taller than me, so you are.
I am?
I'm
Oh.
like 5'8".
Oh.
Yeah.
Could be 5'9" on a good day when my back isn't.
I'll be completely honest. I'm 5'8 3/4", but give me my 1/4 inch.
And I ain't giving you a 1/4 inch of anything. You know, I was at work, right? I said work's the only
Yeah.
place you could talk about work and innuendos at the exact same time. Because everything you say happens to be also an innuendo.
Mm-hmm. Man, I am the EP today.
I don't know. I've been enjoying work a little bit more than I normally do.
Hell yeah, that's good.
Yeah, because there's people they're worth talking to.
I will be back in a minute.
Me.
I have to use the restroom.
Wait 1 second. Excuse me. Ooh, shit. I don't know what it is, but I like this background.
I feel kind of bad about what I just did.
What did the Phoenix do this time?
My roommate was awake, so I let them know that I got paid. But I
Why?
told him the amount after my purchase. And then I said, I'm gonna spend $30 my paycheck if you don't mind. So I'm spending 30 more.
This makes sure you save at least a little bit for a waiting day, Momodoho.
I will. I'm going to. That's why I feel kind of bad. Because I'm gonna save some of it too. also, you're asking why I told them, because I have to pay bills too.
No, it makes sense. Welcome back, everyone, from our jail.
Bills. Bye, rabbit.
I don't get what Monster was supposed to do.
I thought you needed that white thing that you were fighting earlier.
Yeah, but you're not really. I don't know how to tackle them or get them.
Okay. Well, no, you're supposed to get them by
The aid, and they've been random because that's what they kind of are. It's
Mhm.
random chances.
That's why I like about the new ones, or the new game. It tells you what
Mhm.
egg it is.
Which I'm gonna be 100% honest. I don't know I'm gonna play. Just because like I find the same interesting, yes, but it also kind of bores me. Let me off. Why are you not letting me off?
I don't know, but you've already been found.
Water, 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 water.
And you waddled away.
Water, water.
And you waddled
Okay, we might
away.
have got it.
Yeah.
I might probably take a break in a little bit. Do you guys want to entertain Sa, or do you want to take a break as well?
I can try to entertain chat, but I don't think it's gonna work very well because I am very distracted today. But I can try for you.
Up to you, my love.
I'll give it a try.
I
I love you.
love you too.
There you go.
Yeah, I won't worry about naming this one since I don't think he was saying the party.
You just had to hatch it from an egg.
It is in the party. For us. Yes, yes, I know how to take a break. It's... Oh, it's not in the party. Hold on. How do I...
No, it's change party.
Yeah, it's Saints party. Sampler?
Click on whatever.
Would do a break after this cutscene.
It's time I told you of my true identity.
Huh?
Now, I am none other than the Channeler.
Yeah? We heard you were a young man. What gives?
You can see I take good care of my skin.
Huh? My dad, you look like Swift Hudson.
My skin is as soft as a Kelpie's fur. I don't look a day over 21, wouldn't you say?
Sure.
I think we should perhaps humor him on this particular point.
No. The rite of channeling is an ancient ritual. No. We can't have just one monster. You need two to tango. Now, for Monster 2, we'll use this Yankutku I set aside for such now. Without further ado, we... Oh, Ryder! Hold thy...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Come on. Let me just do it. That's the same time. Okay. Pretty rice I want to eat. Nap time.
Now then, two bonds become one. Now, do you see the answer to the riddle?
What in the Pokemon Fusion is this?
The fuck?
This is your end.
Yo, it turned red. Is that red?
Yes.
Or is that
Yes.
purple? Thank
Oh.
God it's red. Oh my God. I guessed that. I fucking guessed that.
It's 100% not purple. The chance I was wearing purple.
Channeling. We can
Oh,
upgrade
Shiny?
those
They look the same color to me. I'm sorry.
Pat pat.
Hidden powers? So that's how it can breathe fire now?
Its power was just sleeping. But now it...
Aha! So, if we use channeling, we can awaken power.
Yes, yes. Only those with kinship stones can evoke this power.
And there's no bad side effects? That's totally...
Don't jinx it now.
Thank you so much, Channeler.
Now then, if there's anything you don't understand, come and ask me.
Yes, sir.
Not gonna lie, those look good.
Those balls of steamed moss?
My hot spring dumplings.
So,
Dumplings sound good.
dumplings are actually...
Okay.
Interesting.
Alright.
Take your break.
I will. That's the stuff I have to do. I get rid of this, and then.
I'm just
Babe,
reminding you.
I know.
Because I love you.
I love you too.
Breaks are important.
Menace. Monster.
Alright, am I scheduled at 11 or 11:30?
No, I'm trying.
I'm scheduled at 11:30.
I'm trying to fill out
Man.
something real quick.
They did not give me a lot of hours today. Why am I even going in for 3.5 hours?
I'm assuming I can't rename. I can't name them now.
Looks like it.
Well, if there's a way to do it, but
I don't know. I didn't know if I was going to keep them. That's the thing.
wow.
Yeah.
Ow.
Maybe open the status of the monster.
That
This.
Damn.
Well, one of you look it up.
What's the game called?
Monster Hunter. So I won't. It won't be part of a main party. Then I'm literally the only going to use it for the quest, and I'll probably just, put it in like the inventory thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep playing this thing for 13 more minutes.
I love you.
I love you more.
No,
I'm
I love
just
you more.
here.
Pat pat.
That makes me feel worse.
Pat pat.
Do I make the joke I made a while back and call Steel the side chick again?
I mean, did you hear what I said before?
What'd you say before?
Let's shove it in, Daddy.
Yeah, I heard that. Shove it down my throat, Daddy.
Pat pat. Pat pat.
Yeah, give head pats to the good one for shoving it down the throat.
Pat pat. I have sunflower seeds.
You're welcome, everybody.
Hell yeah, sunflower seeds.
Hey, I did
Hash
eat.
browns.
I did eat breakfast, so people can't say anything.
I'm eating breakfast.
I had this Yoda and sausage sips.
I wasn't going to eat anything. It's fasting.
Mm-hmm.
I lost 4 pounds by fasting already. But there's a fog in my head, and yeah, and a headache. I don't know what that's about. I'm drinking water. Coffee's hydration.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just dirty bean water.
Yeah.
Don't sigh.
I'm a fucking sigh.
Through here.
I'm not wrong.
Buddy.
It's
Turd?
a dehydrating substance.
And you're a turd.
And the reason it's dehydrating is because of the caffeine.
I mean, I could have caffeine to water.
That would make water dehydrating.
No, it wouldn't. I actually be pretty hydrated.
I'm going to continue. It's not just training, though.
It's a big old world.
I won't say this shit irritate him.
I know.
So,
I know.
You know.
So I'm just sitting here like.
I mean, I heard what you wanted me to say one day.
You actually say that, I'll lose it. Not gonna lie.
Good thing I don't know what you're talking about. Excuse me. I need to get better with manners.
Maybe.
You do.
Thanks.
Hey, you told me out, I told you out, motherfucker.
You call me out about my mannerisms all the fucking time.
I do, and I'll keep doing it.
Just because the game called you out doesn't mean you take it out on me.
Yes, I do.
Right, fair point, but still.
You can't do anything to stop me. And you know you can't.
Jack, get her.
Wait a minute. Fill my cup, put some liquor in it.
Nah, I'm safe from
All the
Sat.
subs.
Nah, I'm safe from
You know,
Sat.
better yet, wait until the second.
Yeah, wait until my subathon, and then I'll be seeing the power that my Sat has.
Well, I mean, we can make multiple days a sub day without having to be a subathon. But
Yeah.
I have to be tamed enough.
I've bought gummies and a new dab pen.
Let's remember, everyone, get to 25 gifted subs as soon as you can when it starts. Because then you get the fuck me and Z over.
Yep.
That being said, I have 2 of them.
I mean,
So I'm willing to do it again.
yeah, no,
I'm only willing to do it once.
I'm a master kid.
we know.
Yeah?
Ba-ba-ba.
You know what game I forgot
Hmm.
that I even owned was Hightail?
Hmm.
Honey, you didn't save that. You tried to oversave the autosave and it told you it couldn't.
Oh.
No, I'm pretty sure. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, those are the only things autosaves. I hate autosaves that you can't override. Because then all it does is create 2 save points, one that's useless. And it just adds more space.
I mean, yes and no.
Mhm.
Sometimes, auto saves are very helpful if you're doing like a one of a game.
What the fuck is that? It's a fucking penis with a mouth. Oh my
I was going to
god.
say the same thing.
You wouldn't believe the amount of finishers that comes out of that in the pictures.
It's a BWC, a big white. Never mind.
Yeah?
That's just a fucking pain in the ass to fucking fight.
Oh, it would
And the
definitely be a
normal
pain in
games in
someone's
this game.
ass. Definitely be a pain in someone's ass. That's for damn sure. Mm-hmm.
Though. I forget the actual name of this. It's been that long.
It's up on top.
Damn!
No, that's not the proper name. Pretty
It
sure that's not the
fucked
proper
up your Legombi.
Headbutt. Mm. Ba ba ba.
You got this, honey. And then I saw her
My
face.
face.
Now
I'm a believer. Copyright.
Copyright without a trace of copyright.
I mean, should be fine with a tiny bit of it.
You never know nowadays.
And on top of that, it's not. Oh yeah, true. I guess. Ooh, shit. That took a lot of help.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it did. It fucked up the Lagoon Bee.
The guy only had 3 attacks and not 4. Not bad.
Uh-oh. Well, luckily I have like one heart left.
Uh-oh.
Simi. Yes, I know.
What was your timer letting you know?
So I was supposed to stop Monster Hunter after this.
Let's start what?
Stop playing Monster Hunter after this.
Oh. I didn't hear the stop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? I'm like, you weren't playing Monster Hunter.
And I'm down.
I think you're under level. Yeah. Well, of course you're kind of under level.
Yeah,
But
but we
that
were
that
supposed
monster-
to use this, but
You've also done absolutely zero of the side quests, which
No.
probably would have helped you level up a little bit.
I've done a few. But it's
Oh,
not
okay.
with this monster.